Fred Lovejoy's phone number. He is on the other end of our AT&T line, Lovejoy Law in the Lansing area here. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Michael.
I thought we should get in touch with you because I hardly know anybody that boats without a beer in their hand, and I thought the two go hand in hand, but the governor tightened up the legislation, and it's, you could find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Yes, he did. And I'm sure most people, or maybe don't know, but he did lower it to the .08 from the .10, making it just like the automobiles this last December, I think it was.
So if you get behind the wheel of your pontoon boat, it's the exact same thing as if you're driving your car, should you be pulled over on the lake.
Very similar, yeah. And, and the problem with the boats is that, they under the Safety Act, they have the right to inspect for fire extinguisher, life jackets, registration. Which they obviously don't have in the motor vehicle, which gives them a right to pull you over on, I would say, less cause for thinking that you're drinking.
I hadn't thought about that. They can look over and say, well, that boat looks like a party. Let's go check that out. And all they have to do is find some empty cans or beer bottles or just take a look in your eyes, and there you are.
Again, it's just the driver, but that driver should have a water or a soda in his cup holder.
Apparently, they aren't going to do what they're saying, any increased number of stings or anything like that. But under those rules, they don't need a sting. They can just have a look-see and have a look.
Right.
And if you're under the age of 21, by the way, any alcohol in your system is a violation. It needn't be .08, as I understand it.
That's correct. .02 and less than .08.
Wow.
So,
and somebody told me, Jonathan Albrand, who is a boating expert, that the effects of alcohol can be intensified when you're on the water because of the heat and the sunlight and the motion of the waves. I presume that your judgment could be impaired a lot easier.
Absolutely true. Yes.
What about if you're just parked at the dock? Can you sit at the dock and maybe the boat never leaves, but you just like hanging out sometimes like I do? Is that okay?
Correct. That is absolutely legal. As long as you're not operating the boat. You are even if you're anchored. So if you're at one of those sandbars, those are fine, but you've got to get home from those sandbars is the issue.
Somebody else has got to take the tiller in that case.
Who is not doing any drinking, correct.
Now, just out of curiosity, can you sit in your car? Is it similar with your car? Can you sit in your car and have a six-pack as long as you're not driving it?
You're not to be drinking it. You can't have an open intoxicant in your car.
Okay, and so that's different. That is a distinction from boating then, if I'm not mistaken, because you said that other people in the boat can be drinking as long as the driver isn't. When you're driving a car, nobody's supposed to have booze in it, right?
That's correct.
So there's a little bit of subtlety there, I guess. Have you had any cases yet of drunk boating?
I had one just last year.
What were the circumstances, without giving any names?
Yeah, well, he was leaving a sandbar and in a pontoon boat. And the officer did pull up and ask with regards to the fire extinguisher, and you obviously, I'm sure he saw him leaving the sandbar. And when he spoke, the officer suspected he may have been drinking, and asked him to do some sobriety tests and a preliminary breath test. And he didn't do well on him, and was thereafter arrested and brought down for a chemical test.
And I suppose walking the line with your eyes closed on a boat is a lot tougher than on a sidewalk.
Absolutely. The same with touching your nose.
Yeah. So it's funny, but it's not funny. So what's your message for people? Lots of people in Michigan. I think anywhere you are in the state, you're within 6 miles of an inland lake. We have more boat registrations than any other state in the nation, as I understand it. Any message from Fred Lovejoy at Lovejoy Law about boating this weekend?
Well, be safe. I mean, I would say, for the record, don't have the driver drinking. Find a designated driver. Have someone that's not. But drive slowly and safely. I think the police should be looking for the people that are where the alcohol has affected them and they're driving rather recklessly. But that same law applies to those that are even driving slowly back home from the sandbar. So you need to drive safely, and the operator needs to stay sober.
And get a designated captain, says Fred Lovejoy.